Good morning, guys and girls. Another day, another spreadsheet for a potential site in, not telling you. Matt's got a viewing next week, and it's a really, really exciting site. I'm getting into a lot of trouble, by the way, doing these videos and highlighting just how good containerized storage is. Like I said, I am going to go hard, 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 selling my course, generating as much cash as I can in 2025 with education, because then I want to put it all back and reinvest it in self storage. And then after that, potentially we won't be selling the course anymore. And by the way, it's not me selling the course right now because the course is for sale, yada, 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 yada. But I want to, I feel it's an obligation for me to tell you guys just how good self storage is at the minute. It's a fantastic vehicle for creating wealth. It's never, ever, ever going to get you rich quick. And so if people are interested in getting rich quick, this isn't a business for you, but it will get you wealthy long term. And for me, that is what I want to do. I want to generate long-term wealth for my family, for generations and generations. Right. Okay. This site here. And by the way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up our school community free for everybody up until December, the end of December. And then we'll be starting charging £97 a month or 197. We haven't decided yet. And so if you want to join, it's school, SKOOL.com/. Self-storage. Yes, we've got the self-storage domain. Nobody else in the world has got that. Jojo, if you could put a link everywhere you post this video, that will be awesome. So if it's podcast, it'll be in the show notes. If it's LinkedIn, then it will be in the comments. If it's YouTube, it'll be in the comments. So I know that'll affect reach and not as many people will see it. But you can just ask for access. And then what I'll do is I'll put a link to this video in school. So if you listen to this on podcast, and it'd be a link to the video in school, and I'll also put the spreadsheet in. I know that loads of people have asked for the previous spreadsheet. I didn't know how many people wanted the damn thing, and so I've got to do all them emails as well. So you will get them. But what I'll do is I'll put a link to this spreadsheet in there so you can see. It's a real basic spreadsheet. We don't have to go crazy. It's just so you get an idea of the site and what the site is potentially doing. This is a big site, by the way. It's 2.5 acres. Will we need that much storage? I think in time, yes. I think in time, yes, because it's an underserviced area. Hopefully, I'm not giving anything away. I've changed the name of this. There's no storage around. The other ones that are 2 and 3 and 4 miles around are full as well. So it looks a fantastic, fantastic opportunity for us. And the great thing about storage is that, especially containerized storage, if you have a break clause after 5 years, guess what? You only have to do it for 5 years. So it's not going to cost the world, and you're never going to get no customers unless you're absolutely shocking and never answer the phones and don't and just bolt the doors shut. And so one of my mentors always says, limit the downside, limit the downside. Well, Warren Buffett says it as well. Limit the risk. If you limit the risk, we're fine. Right. I've got to be very careful because LinkedIn will only let me put videos on for so long. Anything more than you've got to do it in 2 parts, which in obviously good. Right. So this is a site that we found. And to be honest, I didn't find it. Matt Prince found it. So shout out to Princey Baby. Don't know why I call him Princey Baby. Very professional, Dean. And what I get across here is the cash on cash return and the return on investment as a full, because I don't think there's any vehicles. And yes, I'm throwing rocks at the property industry right now. And yes, I know they're completely different. However, with my marketing strategy for the course that I want to sell in 2025, we're throwing rocks at the property market. Do I think property is a good investment? Yes. Do I think there's better investments? Yes. Self storage. And so there's so many people in property now coming across to self storage because of how good they perceive it, how good they perceive it for returns as well. And so I just want to go through them all because I think the most important metric for me when I'm at this point in my life is cash on cash return. How much money do I have to put into this asset? And or business, if you want, whatever you want to call it. How much money do I have to put in, and what returns do I get out? Because that's the fundamental issue that we have is always cash flow in self storage because we spent in shop fits alone internally two. Let's have a look. Willoughby's over 1 million. Mansfield will be over 1 million. So yeah, we spent about £2.5 million in shop fits alone. What am I missing site? And then not forgetting containers as well. So it's a lot of capital expense. So what I'm looking for now is how much do I have to put down? And this, by the way, is these numbers here are based on a leasing model. So you lease for a certain amount of money, and then you pay them at the end for the containers. And just to be completely transparent, this doesn't include graphotherm. So these numbers don't include graphotherm, and they don't include paint in the units. And the reason we haven't included paint in the units at the minute, maybe we should have included graphotherm, by the way, is because we don't know there's no point painting a full unit, because if it's going to be touching other units and you can't see it. So it'd be a wasted to paint one side if it's butted up to the next container. So we only paint them ones you need. And what we'll do is we'll get a handyman down there, or somebody who can paint units, and it'll be more cost efficient than what we currently pay at the minute. Well, I believe so anyway. Right, let's get on with it then. So as you can see here, there's already a gate there. So all we need to do is make the gate electric. So I've guesstimated £5,000. I want to overestimate. The last one we did was £2,300 to make electric. So I've guesstimated, just in case there's any problems, planning £3,000. My planner at the minute, he charges, I think it's £1,750 in total. Solicitors fees, £3,000 for a lease. That's what I pay. I know you can pay less, but I pay that. £3,000 signage. To be honest, there's not a lot of signage needed at all. So £3,000 will cover it. £5,000 CCTV and lights, £2,000. Again, there's no way the lights will cost £2,000, because what we'll do is we'll get those thingy lights that go on top, and you get them to get powered by the sun, the solar lights. That's the one. The access control system, we normally spend around about 6k, so we got that covered. So 27,500 capital expenses. And for the gate, if you get a new gate, by the way, if you're putting gate in, then you can get asset finance on the gate. But in total, we're spending 27,500 set up. As you can see here, quick rundown. The cost is £64,000 for 20 containers if we bottom outright, and we're getting asset finance on 20. So you can see here, move-ins, 5. And by the way, if you're on a podcast, I do apologise, but hopefully you get the gist of it. So we're saying that we're moving in 5 containers every month. If we can't move in 5 containers a month, net 5 containers, I don't know. We've done everything wrong in Glasgow, and we're still moving in more than that. So square foot, we're getting 800 square foot a month, as you can see there. In there, I think, during July, Mark's put it up to 6 containers, because obviously July you'd expect a little bump because of the seasonality. The street rate we put as £30. For £30 ex VAT, we'll get more than that. But again, we want to minimise the risk by making sure our projections are as low as possible, so we beat our projections. Right, here's the profit and loss. As you can see here, the rent for the first month, we are rent-free for 6 months. We haven't, by the way, there's 2 things to note here. We haven't agreed a rent-free period of 6 months, and we haven't agreed to pay the full asking price, because this is a very, very expensive yard. So I want more than 6 months rent-free, but I also want discount on the rent as well. I don't want to be paying that. Certainly not in the second year, third year, but let's say they only grant us 6 months rent-free, which I'll be absolutely flabbergasted if we only get 6 months rent-free and pay full price. But we based it on these numbers. That's the rental for the units. So the lease for the units there, it says units, utilities. We've guesstimated here £2,000. It could be more, but it's from our experience, Mark running Storebox, all those sites for 15, 17 sites, whatever it is, with his experience and my experience, I think we've overestimated £2,000 a month on utilities. Yes, there is rates involved in there, but I mean the rates at a Glasgow site, don't tell anybody, but they're not actually charging rates. And I don't know how long that'll take. At a Beverley site, they're charging me £6,000 a year. So that could be, depending on the rates, it could be more, it could be less, but we will see on that score. Just double checking if he's actually added the rates in to the rent. 8,300 times by 12. I don't know. It might have included the rates in there. To be honest, I don't know. I can't remember. I've got that many potential sites, but I can't actually remember. Right, so you'll see here the profits. So this is very, very important. So the profits in month 1, we're down £2,500. Profits in month 2, we're down £1,600. And it goes on, because this is really, really important to know how much cash you will need, because this is actual cash coming out of your bank. So it's all right knowing your capital expenses, But what is your loss going to be during that time? Because we need to account for this. You need to put that money into the business some way, shape, or form, by hook or by crook. You're going to be down £2,400. So we need to know how much money we're going to lose before we make money. So luckily for you, I've done all these calculations, and it means that our cash flow, we're going to need £56,111 for cash flow, just cash flow, to operate this site. Don't get too scared about these numbers, because remember, this is a 2.5 acre site, so it's bigger than normal. The rent is massive, absolutely massive on this site. And so I think we'll get cheaper rent as well. So at the minute, worst case scenario, I think it'll be £56,000 cash flow that we need. Then don't forget, we need to add on the capital expenses. This is just cash, by the way. This is cash. That means it's £83,611 that I will need to put in, me as a person. And what we want to do then is, okay, once maturity, how much do we earn? So we go right across to this figure here, and this figure is your profit there. By the way, during the time, we've done a little bit of revenue management, increase revenue, increase price per square foot of 10% every year, which, by the way, we crush that. There's no reason why you wouldn't crush it, especially if you're in the course, because we teach you how to do it. Look at me plugging the old course, getting a marketer now. So we make £17,000 there. That's cash profit. But don't forget, look at this. We're paying £16,900 back in lease repayment. So if we add them both together, it means we're making a net profit of 406, because don't forget, we will end the lease. The lease is only for 4 years, I think it is, and then we pay a balloon payment of £100. And so that means that the profit is £400,000. So it's just over £400,000, but £400,000, that is mental. And even while you're still paying off the containers, you're still making £7,000 a month. £7,000 a month. That's £84,000 a year, even paying off the containers. So that is, I think. Oh no, sorry, you're not making that. Sorry, you're making 17,000. You're making not £6,000. You're making 17,000 a month, which 84. So that's nearly £200,000, which is mental. Well, yeah, it's 200 grand. So you're making 200 grand while paying off the containers. I'm not doing this, by the way, to sell you, because at the minute I've got nothing to sell. All I want to do is open people's eyes. And I feel very, very proud of when people actually come to me and say, or email me and say, Dean, because of you open self-storage, and it's amazing, we've done it. I love that. And I think if I can help people just make more money, I think that if you, and I know money's not everything, but it certainly fucking helps. It really helps. There's not a problem, as Rob Moore says, there's not a problem in the world that is negatively impacted by having more money. There's not a problem in the world. Having more money can never, ever have a negative impact on a certain situation. Having more money can have a positive impact, and it can have a neutral impact, but it can never have a negative impact. And so I just think that I've got responsibility to make as much money as I possibly can do while we're in this bull run, if you like, of self-storage, because we've got a great opportunity for the next 10 years. And then it will go to shit, like America. But not like America's in shit, but it's a great headline. Meaning that America, at the minute, it's harder to make money. That's all. It's harder to make money. If you're a good operator, you still make money in self-storage. But the poor operators now do not make money in self-storage in America, or it's certainly harder. And that will come to the UK, my friends. I promise you at some point. But at the minute, we're miles underserviced as a nation for self-storage. Right, let's have a look at the capital expenses. So, okay, it's all very well doing cash and cash return. I know I can hear people saying, but what is the return on the money that we are putting in? And by the way, leasing containers, it's not like asset finance has some advantages. Leasing containers has some advantages, but leasing containers is not like asset finance. You're not beholden. You don't have to have a personal guarantee. You're leasing the asset. That's what you're doing. You're leasing the asset. So if it all goes to shit and don't make money, don't do as well as expected, guess what? You can just give the containers back. That's it. So there's less risk. That's why I'm trying to highlight the leasing factor of these containers. And you don't have to graph a permit. You don't have to paint them as well. Right, so we're making £406,000. The setup fees are £906,000, buying all them containers, buying the shit ton of containers. And I think we'll get more in than that, by the way. This is only first level. I never go stacking. Well, I do go stacking, but I never do my projections based on stacking, because I want the numbers to work on the ground level first of all. Right, we are getting a 45% return. 45% return people. God, I've got an ugly face. I went real close to the camera. But not only that, you have got an asset. I'm calling it an asset. You've got assets there that's making £406,000, and you can sell that to 3 to 5 times multiple if it's one site. If it's more, it's a bigger multiple. And so let's say you only sell it for 3 times multiple. Not only are you making 45% return on your money, but you also can turn that into £1.2 million by selling it. I mean, cheapers. Self-storage has to be. I was talking to Dan Bradbury the other day, and he said, Dean, by nature, I'm skeptical. I always think something, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. He said, but Warren Buffett always says that there's very, very few times in your life when you should push all the chips in. There's very, very few times in your life when you have the opportunity to make a shit ton of money. He doesn't say exactly shit ton of money, but you get the point. And Dan said, I love working with Dan because he's very much, he hates it when I say risk averse, but he is definitely risk averse. He said, no, I'm not risk averse. I just look after my money. I'm respectful of my money, but I'm exactly the opposite. I get excited, I get emotional, as you can tell. I'm like, I'm all in. What do you mean? I've got a 7 and a 2 in poker. Yeah, I'm still all in. The 7's going to come out, the 2 is going to come out. We're golden. And so I like to surround myself with people like that just to make sure that I'm not making stupid predictions, stupid bets, and the numbers stack up. That's why I've got a financial director now to help me. That's why I've got Dan Bradbury to help me. That's why I've got Dave Davies to help me. That's why I've got Kev Thompson to bounce ideas off. That's why I've got all these people. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out now, and I feel really, really bad. But I want to make sure that any self-storage consultant out there in the world I have worked with, because I want to understand how they think. And it doesn't mean you've got to agree. You won't agree with everything I say, and nor should you. You should have your own mind. I don't agree with everything that even Dan Bradbury, I don't agree with everything he says, and I shouldn't do. And we should all have our own mind. So just because we're having advisors, don't mean you've got to take on board what they say, but you've got to listen. You've got to listen to what they say and really let it marinate and take it in. And so I think that self-storage, containerized storage, and I'm talking containerized, I'm not talking indoor at the minute. I think it is a fantastic opportunity. I'll keep banging this drum until the end of 25 maybe, and then hopefully then we'll have over £1 million in the bank, and we can, well, as soon as we get the money, we'll put it out to container storage and maybe indoor storage as well. Right, okay. Don't forget to join the Skool community. Links are everywhere, and you get free access. And then I'll start charging from January, and hopefully we can have I think we've got 70 odd people in there at the minute, and so we can and I'm not as active as I like to be at the minute, but because I've got schedulers going on, but there's lots going on. I've got this going on, and shut up, Dean, just leave it now. So yeah, join the community. There's loads of people in there helping out and stuff. I've got a panel of experts in there to help you all your self-storage needs, and yeah, it's just a great community. This is what I wanted when I was starting out. We haven't got it we haven't got some sort of community self-storage. So it's not really my community, it's your community. Oh, that's a good marketing tagline. Right. All right, my friends, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to get the kids ready for school. All right, my friends, this is definitely longer than I expected. All right. Love you. Appreciate you. And tomorrow we'll talk about the Skool community, I reckon. All right. Love you. Appreciate you. Bye.